So future value is the value of tomorrow's value. Okay. So it's apa? The future value at the end of year end for a sum compounded at interest rate I. So it means that future value, we want to know how much it is compounded to the end of the years. So that is future value, the value of tomorrow's value. So in order for us to calculate future value, we need to know how much is the present value. So how to calculate future value? It is present value. First and foremost, we need to know how much is the present value. Okay. So present value multiply with 1 plus I to the power of n. Okay, this is if we are using formula. If you want to use financial table, you can just refer to FVIF table. Okay, so this FVIF table. So let us look at this example. Azrul has decided to place 500 ringgit, which he received as a birthday gift. Okay, in a saving account paying 4% interest. How much will accrue to Azrul's account in 6 years' time? So the question is, how much will accrue to Azrul's account in 6 years' time? So the question asks you on the 6 years. So how much is the value here? So when the question asks how much is the value at the end of the year, so we are referring to future value. So the information give you that present value is 500 ringgit and the interest compounded will be 4%. If you want to use formula, it will be present value multiply with 1 plus I to the power of n. So present value is 500 multiply 1.04 to the power of 6. So 1.04 to the power of 6 is equal to 1.265319018. So we just take up to 4 decimal 2653. Okay, so answer multiply with 500. So it equal to 632.6595. So just take up to 2 decimal, which is 6. Okay. So this is the answer if you use formula. If you want to use table, you will get this answer. So the answer, there is not much different. Okay, it is about the same. So both answer will be accepted. Either you use formula or you use table. Okay. So now let us move to annuities. So what is annuities? Annuities is a series of payment. So in a between of future value and present value, there is a series of payment. Series of payment, it is fixed. Okay, so the payment will be same for every year. Okay, so in annuities, there are 2 types of annuity. The first one is ordinary annuity and the second one is annuity due. Ordinary annuity means that the payment happen at the end of every year. Okay. However, annuity due, the payment will happen at the beginning of each year. So year 1, the payment will happen at the beginning of year 1. Year 2, the payment happen at the beginning of year 2. Year 3, the payment will happen at the beginning of year 3 until end of the years lah. Okay, so every year the payment will happen at the beginning of each year. So now the keyword for you to identify the annuities, which annuities is annuity due, there is the word of beginning. Okay, annuity due, the payment will happen at the beginning of each year, for example. So the keyword here is at the beginning. Okay, for ordinary annuity, the keyword will be at the end, or the question will say nothing on the payment. So basically, it's either silent. Uh, if the question is silent on the method of the payment, or it is clearly state that the payment happen at the end of every year, so it is ordinary annuity. If the question stated clearly that the payment happened at the beginning of each year, so it will be annuity due. Okay, annuity due, they will state clearly that the payment happened at the beginning of each year. Okay, so an annuity actually is a series of periodic payment of equal size. So it means that the payment happen will be fixed, will be the same for every year. So example of annuities will be insurance premium, hire purchase installment, or sinking funds. So it also can happen for fixed deposit for investment. It also can be a fixed payment. All right. So two types of annuity is ordinary and also annuity due. So how to calculate present value of annuities? So the timeline for present value of annuity will be, there is a present value and there is a fixed payment for every year. Until maturity. Okay, there is a fixed payment until maturity. So we want to calculate present value. So present value for ordinary annuity, we will apply PVA. PVA means that present value ordinary annuity. If you want to calculate using formula, the formula would be payment divided by I multiply with 1 minus the answer of 1 divide 1 plus I to the power of n. All right. So this formula is a bit complicated. So instead of you use formula, you can just use financial table. So PVA, present value annuity, is payment multiplied with PVIFA, I and N. So let us look at this question. What is the present value of a 5-year 1,000 ringgit annuity discounted back to the present at 10%? So every year there will be a payment of 1,000 ringgit. And this happened for 5 years. So at the end of year 5, at the end of year 4, at the end of year 3, at the end of year 2, at the end of year 1, there is a series of payment. It's a fixed series of payment of 1,000 ringgit. So how much all this amount equivalent to this value? So how to calculate this? So we have to find the present value for each of year and sum up all the present value. So to make your life easy, so we just refer to PVIFA table 10% and 5 years. So 10% 5 years, For PVIFA, it is 3.7908. So 3.9708 multiply with 1000. So the answer will be 3790.8. Okay, so to this value, equal to today's value, which is 3,790.8 ringgit. Okay, so this is present value ordinary annuity. Ordinary annuity means that this 1,000 ringgit received at the end of each year. Okay, what if the 1,000 ringgit received at the beginning of each year? So that is the keyword of at the beginning. So what happened with the formula? The formula, there is an additional 1 plus I at the end of the formula. So just now PVA is payment multiplied with PVA, only these two. Now you have to multiply with another one element, which is 1 plus I. So that is the only difference for annuity due. So let us look at this example. You are going to withdraw 3,000 ringgit at the beginning of each year. So there is a word here at the beginning. Okay, so this is the keyword at the beginning of each year for the next 6 years. So for the next 6 years. So the payment of this 3,000 will receive at the beginning of each year. So at the beginning of year 2, there is a 3,000. At the beginning of year 3, there is another 3,000. At the beginning of year 4, there is another 3,000. At the beginning of year 5, there is another 3,000. At the beginning of year 6, there is payment of 3,000. So the question asks, how much is the value today? Okay, so how to calculate this? We are referring to this formula. Payment multiply with PVIFE multiply with 1 plus I. Okay, multiply all this answer. So 3,000 multiply with PVIFE 4% 6 years multiply with 1.04. Because 1 plus I, so 1 plus 0.04 is equal to 1.04. Okay, so 3,000 multiply with 4.2421 multiply with 1.04, so it is 15,726.3 multiply 1.4, so the answer is 16,355.35. So it is present value or annuity due. So the only additional element is 1 plus I at the end of the formula. Okay, this is I. This I. So now let us move to future value. So future value ordinary annuity means that there is a series of payment and the question asks you on the future value. How much is the future value? This series of payment, it happened at the end of each year. Okay, so the question asks how much is the future value. So if you want to refer to formula, it is payment multiply with 1 plus I to the power of n divided by I. So it also can be calculated using financial table. So we have to refer to FVIFA table. So this question, how much can be accumulated at the end of 5 years? So the question asks, how much is the value at the end of 5 years? in an account that pays 7% per annum of an equal deposit of 1,500. So every year for 5 years, there is a payment of 1,500. So how much is the future value? So this question, the question didn't inform whether the payment happened at the beginning or at the end. So as I said earlier, when the question silent on the method of payment, so we have to assume that this is ordinary annuity. Okay, ordinary annuity, it's either the question clearly state that the payment happened at the end of every year, or the question didn't inform at all. Okay, when the question just silent on the method of payment, so we have to treat that question as ordinary annuity. Okay, so this is ordinary annuity because the question didn't inform at all whether it is at the beginning or at the end. So this 1,500 happen at the end of every year. So we have to use FVA, future value annuity. So payment multiply with FVIFA, 7% and 5 years. So 7% 5 years of FVIFA, the amount given in the table is 5.7507. So this amount multiplied with 1,500. So the answer will be 8,626. So it's the amount here. 8626. All right. So this is future value ordinary annuity. So now, what if the payment happen at the end, at the beginning of each year? So we have to use future value annuity due, which is FVAD. So the only part that is different is the additional of multiplication 1 plus I at the end of the formula. All right, so just now we are referring to this payment multiply with FVIFA, only these two. But now, because of this payment happen at the beginning of each year, we have to multiply with another one, which is 1 plus I. So let us look at this example. Fabian wished to determine how much money he will have at the end of 5 years if he chooses to invest 1,000 ringgit at the beginning of each year. So this 1,000 ringgit will happen at the beginning of each year for 5 years. And the earning is 7% annually. Okay, so every year for 5 years, Fabian invests 1,000 ringgit. This 1,000 ringgit happen at the beginning of each year. So the question asks, how much is the amount at the end of year 5? So it is at the end of 5 years lah. So at the end, at the beginning of year 1. Okay. So the formula is payment multiply with FVIFA. I is 7%. Years is 5 years. Multiply with 1.07. So payment is 1,000. Multiply with FVIFA, 7% 5 years. 5.7507 multiply with 1.07. So 1000 multiply 5.7507, it is 5750.7 multiply with 1.07. So the answer will be 6153.249. So we just take up the two decimal, which is 25. So this is the answer of future value of ordinary annuity. Right, so there are lots of exercise. You may try all these exercise